Hello, greetings, and welcome once again to more of the Complete Idiot's Guide to Stationeers. Beautiful night here on Europa. I got a couple of those planety things doing the orbit thing around the big planet thing. And yes, it's time we triggered Mr. Schmitt again. More changes on the atmospherics. I keep wanting to build this thing, the advanced furnace, but as with most things in Stationeers, other stuff keeps getting in the way. I ended up with a situation where I had not enough CO2. Purely, I think it was because I went a little bit overboard on what I was planting and they used it all up. I got a surplus of oxygen, a surplus of nitrogen, and a deficiency of carbon dioxide. So what I have done is I've extended the outpipe from this tank here, which is all the furnace waste, has a crap ton of CO2 in it. The only problem is it's very hot. So through this brown pipe, it comes along into this filtration unit and then out of the grey pipe into the CO2 tank. Now the CO2 tank is holding a goodly amount of CO2, but the temperature was very high. So what I did is I set up this basic cooling thing, and I wanted it to be automated. So yes, you guessed it, another Schmitt trigger, but this one with a bit of a twist. The way this cooling works is this digital valve opens up when the temperature is above what it should be, goes into this little thing, got a couple of radiators on it. The reason I have it separated like this is in Stationeers the whole world is divided up into grids. The grid is the size of one of these blocks. So if I had just a long pipe going up here with two radiators, both of these radiators radiate out to the same grid. This way they're in different grids. You could also deal with it by having a single pipe going up the middle and one radiator facing each way, but this way the cooling is a little bit more efficient. The way the stuff works is I'm using the same logic memory chips over here to set the base temperature. That seemed to be a good target temperature to have the CO2 at. I'm reading the temperature from the tank. You see we've got the data connection hooked up there. Comparing it to the minimums and maximums over there, usual shenanigans with the select and the compare units, and that controls whether this valve is on or off. The twist here is, because if I just turn this valve off and leave it at that, and assuming this connection back did not exist, then eventually the CO2 in here becomes so cold that it freezes and bursts the pipe, meaning I have to repair it. So the ideal solution is, once it's reached its temperature, we will turn this off and this on automatically. This is a back pressure regulator, so it's set to 0 kPa. So once this is turned on, it will drain whatever is in here. Now I could leave this turned on all the time, but I figured it would be fun and games to actually use this thing, a logic gate. So at the moment I've got it set to an NOR operation, and it is comparing the value of this logic writer. This logic writer, by the way, controls whether this valve is open or closed, or on or off. When this is set to 1, this is set to on, and the valve is opened. When this is set to 0, this closes. So this value here is set to 1, that controls that. This logic gate is looking at this logic writer and is comparing it to logic memory of 1, 1 being on. And it is going to, in effect, reverse this. So if this is a 1, this will be a 0. If this is a 0, this will be a 1. This logic writer takes the input from there and is controlling the the back pressure regulator. BPR is back pressure regulator for the CO2 cooler, and is just turning it on. That's this one here. So once this reaches the once the tank reaches the desired temperature, it's got a bit to go yet. These two units here will reverse. It will drain this. There will be a little bit of ice build up, but there's not that much there, so a single back pressure regulator should be able to drain the 3 megapascals that are in there. There's not a huge volume because the pipe volumes are now only, I think, 10 litres per segment, so it should drain that fairly quickly. And there we end up with a little bit extra logic. Of course, you know, the number of chips we have in this tiny little base is excessive. There is no way you would want to do this in a real playthrough, you know, without getting into IC code, and maybe at some stage, you know, once I've got all of the base functions fully automated, I'm thinking of doing an episode where I actually code everything onto a single IC chip and rip out all of these chips, just to show what can and cannot be done. Now on to the other shenanigans. Let's see how my filters are doing. I suspect they're both 3%. Yeah. So this works very, very slowly, and I can only assume because there is a very low percentage. Well, okay, I've only got 21 moles left, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, 1,500 moles there, and 7,000 there. Yeah. Oh, we have a piece of pipe that's the wrong colour. I have to fix that, because if there's one thing Mick has told us, is that things don't work unless they're the right colour. There we go. Whew. Catastrophe narrowly averted. Okay, so just as a refresher, I have this pipe going in here, feeding into a temperature. Was it a? I forgot what the device is called. Heat exchanger. Blah, brain fart. Yeah, so that heats up the nitrous oxide. That's because we want to keep it toasty warm, so we keep it as a gas. If it gets cold, it gets a lot more. You get a bit more bang for your buck out of it, but the issues in keeping this stuff a gas are just too problematic. Certainly for a simple playthrough. The rule of thumb with nitrous, you want to keep it warm, nice and toasty. Then I have a second one here, which connects this tank and this tank, so that both fuel types are of a similar temperature. And that, I believe, will have another benefit, in as much that when I mix them, I think they're going to be hot enough that they're going to auto-ignite. And all of that goodly stuff will end up in here, and we will end up with a tank full of really, really hot stuff. That's the idea anyway. And in order to connect that, I'm going to need more cable, unless I have any sitting around out here. Yep. Any in here? Nope. Alright. What I could do is some to eat anyway. Let's get the cable printing. Oh, I also set up some chutes here in an attempt to reroute stuff from these two printers into this splitter stacker. Doesn't really work. Okay, so yeah, I went back to baked potatoes because they were just so easy. What's the... No. That one. Incidentally, I've been having issues with this basic packaging machine. I can't get it to work. It always ends up just consuming my resources, and I don't really know what I'm doing wrong. Both things go in at the top, and you hit the button, and all it ends up doing is eating my food and not giving me anything out of it. Right, how are we doing plant-wise? Yeah, it does not have correct atmosphere. You know what, let's just vent out this, give it as much as we can, and have a look. Yeah, so CO2 deficiency. So, yeah, I've probably got too many plants in here and they're just chewing it up faster than I can make it. Okay, that's going to be enough. Oh, one more so we don't have the ½ gram of copper left. Yeah, that's going to be more than enough. Okay, anything else I need from in here? I'm bound to forget something. Nope. That's one of the problems with getting old. Apparently memory is the second thing to go. Don't remember what the first thing is. Alright, let's just flush that. Let's put that over there. Uh-oh. What burst? Ah. I was wrong. It did not empty it fast enough. Well, at least the OR gate thing worked and it did switch one off and the other one on. What have we got there? Pure carbon dioxide. Well, you know what? There's a good use for that. There we go. Right, so that should mean our CO2 is at a good temperature now. At 23 degrees, that'll do nicely. Okay, so I have an output here. I have not yet. You can see there's a there is a pipe cowl in there. Of course, it's painted the wrong color, so that'll have to change. Okay, I got a pressure regulator set to 80 kPa. We'll just turn that on. So that'll get the base pressure up to, well, we'll put it up to 80 kPa and it'll put in a lot of CO2. Probably too much, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. That seems to be a theme of the game, or at least how I play it. It's one problem comes up, you try and fix it, it creates another problem, you have to fix that. And there's a certain amount of, oh look, squirrel involved in the game, but that's part of the fun. Anyway, so we have a lot of NOx. We have even more volatiles. They're 80 degrees. When I turn this on, this is set to 50-50, which should be the right mix, we will end up with a lot of very hot gas. In theory, if not gas, then we'll have fuel. But the intention is that we end up with gas. So this is empty. Turn that on. And we run out of power.
Temperature low.
Yep. So you see the temperature's approaching 3000. It's still going. So I'll let this run for a few seconds, because I'd like to get a lot of gas in here. And you see there is volatiles and NOx in the tank as well. Because it's so hot, they will continue to combust. So you want to make certain you don't go too crazy on this. But I can probably leave it running for a minute. If I take this down to 600 600 kPa, that should be fine. The temperature's still going up. You can do the same thing with hydrogen or with volatiles and oxygen, but I believe you get a hotter mix when using nitrous oxide. And the intention here is just to get a lot of very hot gas, which I can then use to smelt just about anything. And ideally, I'd like to get some of the pollutants out of here, get that cooled down, and use that as a cooling gas to moderate it when I get the right temperature, the right pressure, but I want to get the pressure down, or the temperature down. All right, 6 megapascal should do it. So yeah, still got loads of NOx left, obviously loads of volatiles, and the temperature and the pressure should continue to go up as the volatiles and the nitrous oxide burn each other out. And if we did it right, we end up with like 0 of each. It's getting close. Let's have a look in the tank. Okay, so having done that, now we can do stuff with the furnace. But that will be in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Hope you found it useful. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I will catch you in the next one. 54 Bear out.